The Young Thug and YSL Rico case is gonna go down as one of the craziest trials in rap history. It had dirty judges, lawyers getting arrested, defendants getting stabbed, and way more. It was a wild ride that lasted over 2 years, and today we're breaking the whole thing down from start to finish. Before we dive into the actual trial, you gotta know why the cops wanted to send Young Thug and his homies to prison for life. Back in 2012, Young Thug started his Young Slime Life crew in Atlanta. A lot of the members were from the Jonesboro projects where Thug grew up, and the cops claimed that YSL was actually a gang that had close ties to blood sets like Sex Money Murder and 30 Deep. Then in 2013, Thug caught charges for a gun and theft by receiving stolen property. It wasn't a big deal back then, but in the YSL Rico paperwork, they called it an overt act. The prosecutors claimed a lot of things Thug said and did were overt acts, which basically means that he had criminal intent. Sometimes it's hard to prove what an overt act really is, but one example is if you buy a ski mask, there's no problem with that. But if you buy a ski mask to use in a bank robbery, then it's an overt act. In 2014, Thug dropped the track You and rapped, "Red just like Elmo, but I never fucking giggle. YSL won't fold, pick his ass off from the balcony. YSL wipe a nigga nose." And according to the prosecutors, the track is an overt act that proved YSL was a gang. And in 2015, Thug was caught on tape talking to a dude named Kyle Ory. Kyle Ory was allegedly calling the shots for a gang called Sex Money Murder, and Thug and him were allegedly talking about making sacrifices in the street and said, "Soldiers must fall in order for battle to be won." That same month, Thug rented a whip that was allegedly used in the murder of a dude named Donovan Big Nut Thomas. Big Nut was an important dude in Atlanta who had ties all over the city, but the reason he allegedly got murdered was because he was tight with YFN Lucci. Big Nut is the one who pushed Lucci to break into the rap game, and he had ties to Rich Homie Quan too. Back in the day, Young Thug and Rich Homie Quan were really tight and were taking over the rap game together. They linked up for a ton of music, and fans were loving everything they put out. But then they started beefing out of nowhere, and rumors say it was all connected to Big Nut's murder. Big Nut had a lot of connections in Atlanta, and at one time, he was even cool with Thug and the rest of YSL. But something happened that turned them against each other. Some people say that the dudes in YSL found out that Big Nut had cooperated with police and decided he couldn't be trusted and they had to take him out. Although that's just a rumor and there's no evidence that Big Nut snitched. But whatever happened, it caused a major split in Atlanta, which is what supposedly started Thug's beef with Rich Homie Quan and YFN Lucci. According to the cops, Yak Gotti, SB, and 3 other YSL affiliates were the ones who killed Big Nut, and Thug is the one who rented the car they used for the hit. Then a few weeks after Big Nut got killed, Young Thug posted a video online and said,
"So nigga, a lot of they mama, a lot of they kids, a lot of they brothers and sisters, then get ready in the courtroom and tell the God and his truth.
Fuck, nigga.
Don't get it.
Y'all
nigga need to get fucking killed, bro."
And the prosecutors linked the video to Big Nut's murder. Then in March 2016, Thug dropped his Slime Season 3 mixtape, and the prosecutors used some of his lyrics on the project during the trial to prove that YSL was a gang, like on the track Slime Shit, when Thug rapped, "Hey, this that slime shit. Hey, YSL shit. Hey, killing 12 shit. Hey, fuck a jail shit. And fuck the judge, YSL, this that mob life." Thug's lyrics were a big part of the trial, and the prosecutors tried to use his track Anybody to prove that Thug was putting out hits in Atlanta. On the track, he said, "I never killed anybody, but I got something to do with that body. And I get all type of cash. I'm a general." That same year, YFN Lucci's mom's house got shot up twice in 1 week. Rumors said YSL was behind it, and the prosecutors claimed Young Thug bragged about it in 2021 on his track Bad Boy when he rapped, "I shot at his mommy, now he no longer mentioned me. You say you want smoke, and I've been coming down the chimney. You gotta barbecue your bitches. I'm so fried and they crispy. I had them Margellas when I shot at the cunt. Act like you want war, and they gon' smoke you like a blunt." Then a couple years later, YFN allegedly tried to kill Thug's homie YSL Duke. Duke made it out of the situation alive, and Thug and Lucci kept sending shots back and forth. Then in 2019, Lucci's whip got hit up in Atlanta, and the cops found somebody inside with 2 gunshot wounds. Lucci wasn't in the whip, but the cops think he was the target. The war between YFN and YSL already had the cops looking into the situation, but what allegedly kicked off the Rico investigation was when YSL Big Briss shot a cop 6 times. In February 2022, a cop tried to arrest Big Briss while he was walking down the block. Big Briss already had a warrant out for robbing someone in October 2023 and jacking their phone, Gucci wallet, and diamond earrings. And when the cops tried to put cuffs on Big Briss, Briss upped his strap and shot the cops 6 times. The cops survived, but that's when the police started going hard with the YSL investigation. Big Briss was allegedly putting in a lot of work for YSL on the outside, and he didn't stop when he got locked up. In 2021, YF and Lucci got locked up on a murder case and was in the same jail as Big Briss. And during the YSL trial, the prosecutors played a phone call where Briss was asking YSL Obama for permission to stab Lucci in jail.
On that call, Mr. Eppinger reached out to you to get permission to stab Lucci?
I mean, yeah, he called me. Yes, he called me.
People in Atlanta knew how crazy the YSL and YFM beef was, but most people outside of the city had no idea what was going on. So when Thug, Gunna, and 26 other YSL affiliates got hit with the Rico charge in May 2022, it shocked the whole rap game. According to the paperwork, Thug committed 36 overacts, including renting the whip that the shooters allegedly used during the Big Nut hit. Then 2 days later, the situation got even worse for Thug when the cops raided his crib and found a bunch of drugs and guns. They hit Young Thug with 7 new felony charges, and on the same day, Gunna turned himself into the cops. Thug and Gunna were both denied bond, and the prosecutor said that Thug was trying to intimidate the witnesses. There was already a ton of drama before the trial even started. A couple weeks after Thug got arrested, an 18-year-old got arrested for threatening to kill the Fulton County Sheriff and his wife if the cops wouldn't let Thug go. In the summer of 2022, there was more drama because the prosecutor said their witnesses were being threatened. And in August 2022, Thug's bond was denied again because a document leaked where someone was agreeing to cooperate with the cops against YSL. By December 2022, Thug had already been locked up for months and nobody knew when the trial would actually start. But then there was a huge change in the case when Gunna decided to take a plea deal. Gunna took an Alfred plea, which means he didn't admit to any crimes, but thought that the prosecutors could still convict him if he took it to trial. And after he took the deal and got released, Gunna put out a statement and said that he didn't make any statements and wasn't going to testify against Thug or YSL. That probably would have been the end of the story, but then a video leaked from the courtroom where Gunna admitted that YSL was a gang.
YSL is a music label and a gang, and you have personal knowledge that members or associates of YSL have committed crimes in furtherance of the gang.
Yes, ma'am.
Gunna also said that he was in a whip with Thug when the cops found drugs and a gun in the car. Gunna said the drugs in the strap weren't his.
You were present when law enforcement officers stopped the vehicle in which you were present along with Jeffrey Williams, wherein hydrocodone, methamphetamines, and a firearm were recovered. These items did not belong to you.
Yes, ma'am.
And people thought Gunna was basically snitching because Thug was the only other dude in the car. Gunna made it clear he was still rocking with YSL and Young Thug, but the video of him taking the plea deal did a ton of damage. Rappers and fans started calling Gunna a rat. Lil Boosie posted a courtroom video and said, "Rat, this would have put tears in my eyes." Freddie Gibbs clowned Gunna for ratting too, and even Gunna's homies in the rap game started falling out with him. Gunna and Lil Baby were tight and had a bunch of tracks together, but when Gunna took the plea and got out of jail, Lil Baby released a snippet and raps, "Pussy niggas taking pleas, I know Slime ain't happy." Nobody really knew how Thug felt about the Gunna situation though, cause he wasn't speaking on it. But Thug's dad said that Lil Baby needed to shut the fuck up because he didn't know what was going on.
He need to shut the fuck up, cause he don't know what's going on.
Lil Durk also took shots at Gunna, even though they worked on music together in the past. Around the time that Thug dropped his surprise album, Business is Business, a recording leak that was supposed to be Thug leaving a message for Lil Durk from a jail phone.
Hey Durk, I know I want you on. I'm dropping this surprise album on the same day Buddy dropped his album. That shit coming up soon. I need a verse from you. If you feel like replying, if you feel like you want to reply to what that nigga saying or something, man, don't do it. Drop it on my album. I'm dropping a surprise album on the same day that fuck nigga dropping. Send your verse in, bro. I want you and Wham on the same song. Send your verse in.
Some fans and Young Thug's sister said the phone call was fake and made with AI though. But Durk still took a shot at Gunna in the clip that ended up on social media where he rapped, "What happened to Virgil? He probably gonna tell." What happened to Virgil was the name of one of Durk's songs that had a verse from Gunna, so the line was clearly about him. Durk also said in an interview with DJ Academics that he hates rats because a snitch got his father locked up.
I hate rats, period. I told you the reason. The reason I hate rats because my daddy did 26 years.
Durk also said straight up that Gunna told him that he should have kept his mouth shut.
Man, I don't sit up and play games, man. That man told. You should have went in there and kept your mouth closed.
Then a few months after he came home, Gunna addressed the snitching claims on the track Bread and Butter and rapped, "Never gave no statement or agreed to take no stands on them. On whatever you niggas on, and trust me, I'ma stand on it. Lawyers and the DA did some sneaky shit. I fell for it, on my P's and Q's, because this time, I'll be prepared for it. One day later, Gunna dropped a project called A Gift and a Curse, and on the track, I Was Just Thinking, he talks about Thug and raps. Only I didn't cry cause it's feeling for my bro, and you know my mind. You didn't watch that nigga grow. No, you hearing the lies that your little brother might fold. Yeah, I copped out, but don't let him say I told. We'll get to all the new Gunna drama in a minute, but first we gotta break down what happened in the actual trial. By December 2022, 8 of the alleged YSL affiliates already had plea deals, including Gunna and Thug's brother on Funk. Then in January 2023, the jury selection finally started. The trial was supposed to start 5 days after the jury selection started, but finding the jury took so long that some people thought the whole case was gonna get thrown out. Finding people to be on the jury took 10 months instead of 5 days, and the courtroom was full of drama the whole time. Some of the potential jurors got in trouble because they just never came back to court, and one woman even flew to the Dominican Republic when she was supposed to be in Atlanta. Then another potential juror started recording the court on her phone and got arrested for it. But it wasn't just random jurors getting into trouble in the courtroom. The original judge in the YSL case was a dude named Earl Glanville. Glanville pulled a lot of sketchy moves in the trial that we'll get to in a second, but one of the weirdest things he did was threaten to put Big Brisk's lawyer in jail because he didn't buy lunch. Apparently, Big Brisk's lawyer was supposed to buy lunch for the other lawyers on the case and didn't want to, so the judge ordered him to write a 17-page essay about the importance of professionalism in court. The lawyer didn't want to write an essay like he was still a kid in school, so he offered to pay a $1,000 fine instead. The judge didn't want him to just pay a fine though, and he told the lawyer he could either write the essay or he'd go to jail for 20 days.
Because that wasn't offered to you. You already asked me, could I pay the $1,000? I told you no. Well, I know you would, but that's not what's on the table. 28, yes, at noon. Or you do 20 days.
That wasn't the only time that Big Brisk got caught up in some court drama though. In June 2023, a deputy who worked in the courtroom named Akiba Stanley was arrested for reckless conduct, violation of oath of office, conspiracy to commit a felony, and hindering apprehension and punishment of a criminal. It all started because other deputies spotted Big Brisk using Instagram on his lawyer's laptop. Big Brisk wasn't supposed to be using social media like that, and he definitely wasn't supposed to be DMing one of the deputies in the courthouse. Big Brisk and Akiba Stanley were messaging and talking inside and outside of the courtroom, and she even visited him in jail and tried to smuggle stuff in for Big Brisk. At one point during the trial, Big Brisk got into a fight with another deputy, and Akiba Stanley just stood over to the side and didn't help the other deputy. Then after Big Brisk calmed down, Akiba Stanley started rubbing his back and said, "Look at me, baby." Yak Gotti was accused of being involved with the Big Nut murder, and his own mom got arrested in the courtroom for trying to smuggle tobacco in for him. Then the lawyer for Lil Miles got arrested because he got caught bringing pills into the courtroom. And when the cops found the pills on him, the lawyer threw his phone at one of them and caught a battery charge too. Lil Miles' lawyer isn't the only dude who got caught with the drugs in the courtroom though. During jury selection, an alleged YSL affiliate named Khalif Adams walked over to young Thug and handed him a Percocet. Thug handed the pill to the cops immediately because everyone saw Khalif Adams pass it to him. And then the cops searched Khalif Adams and found more perks, weed, and tobacco on him. There was also drama about the public defenders not getting paid enough. And one of the public defenders in the YSL case said that she wasn't making enough money from the trial, so she might have to start an OnlyFans.
But we were under the impression that GPDC was advocating for us. And once they put those walls up, I'm thinking maybe I need to start an OnlyFans?
She was only paid $15K, and the lawyer said it ended up being around $6 an hour for all the work she was doing.
This case is slated to last for about a year. And if you were to do the math, it would be $6 an hour. I can't take any new cases. I can't close any cases. I need something to survive off of.
Then there was even more drama about buying lunch. A lawyer named Suri Chada Jimenez was held in contempt by the judge Earl Glanville because he showed up late for court. The judge told Jimenez that he had to buy the other lawyer's lunch or he'd be sent to jail. And the judge recommended that he should grab some sandwiches from a place near the courthouse. But instead of going to the sandwich spot, Jimenez decided to order wings from one of the most famous strip clubs in Atlanta, Magic City. Magic City usually doesn't even open until 3 p.m. But Jimenez got in touch with the management and convinced them to open their kitchen early so he could buy wings for the other lawyers. The whole case just kept getting weirder, and in July 2023, Thug's lawyer Brian Still filed a motion to have some crazy evidence removed from the trial. Back in March 2022, the cops busted a YSL affiliate named SB for Big Nut's murder, and when they went to arrest him, SB was in the middle of a religious ceremony where they were sacrificing goats. SB sacrificing ghosts wasn't the only animal drama in the courthouse though. On November 27, 2023, Thug's trial finally started after 10 months of jury selection. But before the lawyers could even make their opening statements, Judge Earl Glanville told everyone that he had a service dog with him in the courtroom and asked everyone not to feed him.
I have a service dog behind me. His name is Jack. I think some of you may have seen him already. Don't bring him any food either, okay? All right? He is spoiled rotten. So please don't try and throw any food back here behind me or anything like that. He doesn't need anything else, okay?
Everyone was ready to get on with the trial. But then just a few weeks later, it got delayed again because SB got stabbed while he was in jail. SB got into a fight with another dude named Willie Brown, and Brown pulls out a knife and stabs him a bunch of times. Luckily, SB recovered and the trial got back on track, but then there was another wild twist in the case. In February 2024, an alleged YSL affiliate named Aquarius Mender had to find a new defense team because his lawyer got booked on gang charges. Nicole Fagan was defending Aquarius Mender in the case, but then the cops found out that she helped a gang member named Keontae Davis back in 2022. Davis was wanted for a double shooting in downtown Atlanta, and Fagan warned him that there was a warrant out for his arrest and told him to get rid of his phone before the police caught up to him. Fagan wasn't even Keontae Davis's lawyer, so the cops hit her with charges for criminal street gang activity and tampering with evidence. What makes the situation even crazier is that Fagan was called a rising star in the Atlanta legal world, and in 2019, an Atlanta attorney at Law Magazine called her the new generation of criminal defense attorneys. Then in April 2024, an investigator named Rasheed Hamilton was accused of sexually harassing one of the witnesses. A woman named A. Bennett was brought in to testify about a shooting at her apartment back in 2013 that was allegedly connected to Thug and his brother DK. The investigator, Rasheed Hamilton, worked for the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, and he started hitting A. Bennett up and texted her, "Hit me up if you're bored later. We're not gonna talk shop." Lawyers, investigators, and deputies getting arrested was wild, but the testimonies were even crazier. One of the biggest things in the trial for Thug was the prosecutors trying to tie him to the Big Nut murder. The prosecutors claimed that Big Nut's death was what started the war between YSL and YFN, which led to all the other murders connected to the case. So if they could prove that Thug was the one who ordered the hit on Big Nut, it meant he was also responsible for the rest of the violence that came after. There was even one wild rumor that the Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis had an affair with Big Nut before he was killed, which is why she was trying so hard to get Thug locked up. Fannie Willis had connections to YSL before the Rico case and before she was even a DA. Back when she was a defense attorney, she represented YSL Mondo, one of the dudes who started YSL with Thug.
Yeah, Fannie Willis, was she the prosecutor?
She's the DA lady.
Yeah, the
now.
DA. The
This
DA
is all
was your attorney at one point in time.
Yes, this before she turned to be with the last case I just fought. I had just got out of jail.
Yeah.
I had just got out of jail. The last case I just fought. I was the last case she was doing before she turned to being the DA.
Mondo was one of the few YSL members who wasn't caught up in the Rico case, probably because it would have been a conflict of interest if Fannie Willis knew info about the case from being his lawyer that she could use against him in the Rico. Around the same time Fannie was working on the YSL Mondo case, there was also a rumor that she had an affair with Big Nut. YSL Mondo said that his case was Fannie Willis's case as a defense attorney before she became a prosecutor. That would have been right around the time Big Nut was killed, which some people say is the reason she decided to switch sides so she could investigate the case and hold the killers responsible. Young Thug's dad said that Fannie was not only dating Big Nut, she also had a relationship with another rapper from Atlanta named Trouble who had ties to Thug and YFN Lucci. So according to him, Fannie was very tapped into the streets of Atlanta and was going after Thug for reasons that had nothing to do with protecting the law. DJ Academics also said on his stream,
I've heard it from about 8 to 9 different people. Fannie Willis, they're saying the reason you have a hard-on for not only YSL, but this particular case where Donovan Nut Thomas was killed, which is the heart of the YSL case. This is what I've heard. Allegedly. They believe that you had a prior relationship with Donovan Nut Thomas.
Even Donald Trump said in a speech that he heard a rumor that Fannie Willis had an affair with a gang member.
They say there's a young woman, a young racist in Atlanta. She's a racist. And they say, I guess they say that she was after a certain gang and she ended up having an affair with the head of the gang or a gang member.
Fannie was also going after Trump for trying to overturn the results of the 2020 election, so they already had a beef. But it's pretty wild that the rumors about her and Big Nut made it all the way to the president. In March 2024, they brought in a dude named Adrian Bean who allegedly had info about the drive-by on Big Nut, but the prosecution's plan didn't work out like they thought it would. While the lawyers were trying to get info out of Adrian Bean, he told them,
I'm so high right now, y'all. I'm about to go to sleep on y'all, man.
Then the lead prosecutor handed him a bottle of water, and the judge let Adrian Bean keep testifying. It was another viral moment for the trial, but it was nothing compared to what happened when YSL Woody took the stand. YSL Woody was supposed to be one of the most important witnesses for the prosecution. They had been calling him one of Thug's top shooters and said he was involved with the Big Nut hit. And Woody had already been called a snitch because in 2023, an interrogation video leaked where he was offering to help the cops to take Thug down. The video was from 2021, and Woody was questioned after the cops caught him with a gun. Woody was facing some serious time because he was already a felon, so he told the cops that he knew a murder was going to go down that night and he could help them catch the shooters.
This is the murder that's about to take place with some very high people, and just the stuff that I know right now, you know what I mean, should be able to help me get out of my situation.
Woody wouldn't tell the cops who was getting killed, but he told the cops that it was someone Young Thug wanted dead.
The person y'all just think that I did tell me anything, he wants him. He want him as bad.
So you're talking about Jeffrey?
Woody said that the cops could catch Thug because he used to move smart in the streets, but was starting to get reckless.
This nigga here is so smart, he moving different. It's hard to keep up with how he moving.
What do you mean?
So he not moving how he used to move. He moved different, but he want this nigga so bad that he's back reckless.
According to the cops, Woody is the reason that the war between YSL and YFN kicked off back in 2013. Woody was allegedly robbed by some YFN affiliates back in the day, so the cops said that YSL clapped back and killed Lucci's homie Big Nut. A lot of people in Atlanta thought Woody was involved with the hit on Big Nut, and Woody's family almost got killed over it too. Woody's sister's house got shot up after Big Nut died, and then the ops slid on his girlfriend's mom's crib too. Woody took an immunity deal before he testified in the YSL case, and everyone thought he was going to help the prosecutors put Young Thug away for good, but that's not how it went down. When Woody's testimony started, he made it clear from the jump that he wasn't really trying to help the case. When the prosecutors asked Woody how old he was, he told them he's grown. And when they pressed him about it more, Woody said he was pleading the fifth.
How old are you?
Grown.
Okay, what does grown mean?
I'm an adult.
Okay. And when you say you're an adult, what number in years are you?
I plead the fifth.
Woody already had an immunity deal though, which meant he wasn't able to plead the fifth to avoid questions. So when Woody pleaded the fifth, the judge cleared the courtroom out and told Woody he was holding him in contempt of court and sending him to jail.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I get you to step outside to your headquarters of jury deliberation, please? Mr. Copeland, given the fact that you have invoked your Fifth Amendment privilege, but the state has already given you immunity under 24-5-507, this court holds you in willful contempt, and we'll see you on Monday. And we'll see if we can get some more testimony at that point in time. Take him into custody.
The cops took Woody out of the courtroom, and that's when Thug's lawyer, Brian Steele, asked the judge to declare a mistrial.
And then, Your Honor, the jury is excused. Would you please entertain a motion for a mistrial?
Mr. Steele, I'll entertain it right now.
Brian Steele claimed that the prosecutors knew Woody wasn't going to actually testify and said the situation was going to hurt Thug's case. The judge told Brian Steele that nobody knew what Woody was going to do, but that might have been cap.
My point is, if this honorable court finds that the state knew or had reason to believe that he was going to do this in front of a jury, that his response was going to be, I'm invoking the Fifth Amendment, then, Your Honor, yes, I adopt what you said. That's wrong of a party, and I'm moving for mistrial. Okay.
All right, sir.
According to a reporter named George Cheedy, 2 deputies told him not to record anything if Woody got arrested in the courtroom. If the prosecutors and judge didn't know that Woody was going to plead the fifth, they wouldn't have any reason to say something like that, so the situation was already looking sketchy. And this is when the trial really got crazy. The prosecutors accused Brian Steele of giving them files that had been changed. So Brian Steele clapped back and started yelling at the whole courtroom.
And if I get another false allegation and you do nothing, I'm shocked. I'm appalled at you. I sit here day after day with this false allegation, just machine.
The judge still wouldn't call a mistrial though, so the trial paused for the weekend and Woody was back on the stand the next week. Woody was answering questions this time, but the prosecutors could still barely get any info out of him.
I want to specifically talk about your brothers. How many brothers do you have?
Overruled, sir.
More than one.
Okay. How many?
I think 3.
All right. And what are your 3 brothers' names?
Overruled, sir.
Trey not a boss.
Say that one more time. You said it's fast.
Not old Trey's boss.
But then there was another wild twist in the case. It turned out that the judge, Earl Glanville, had a secret meeting with Lil Woody and the prosecutors. They didn't tell Young Thug's lawyer Brian Steele about the meeting, but he found out anyway and pressed the judge over it. Brian Steele said that the judge and prosecutors are trying to intimidate Lil Woody and make him testify. Thug's lawyer Brian Steele tried to press the judge about what went down in the meeting, but the judge just kept trying to make Brian Steele give up his source. It looked like something sketchy was going down because the judge wouldn't talk about the meeting at all, and then he actually had Brian Steele arrested and sentenced him to 20 days in jail. Other lawyers were saying the whole case should be thrown out and declared as a mistrial because the situation was getting so crazy, but the judge, Earl Glanville, said the trial was going to keep going. Another defense lawyer on the case named Doug Weinstein filed a motion to have Earl Glanville removed from the trial. Earl Glanville said he was staying on the case though, and that's when Doug Weinstein asked him straight up,
But aren't you interested in removing the cloud that's hanging over the case right now, Your Honor?
Judge Glanville got heated and told Doug Weinstein, I'd be real careful about what you're pleading at this point in time and what you're stating to the court. I would be very careful if I were you.
Sir, I'd be real careful about what you're pleading at this point in time and what you're stating to the court. As a matter of professional responsibility, remember, we haven't nugged out all of the issues involved in that affidavit, and I would be very careful if I were you.
The trial had been going on forever, but the drama with the judge delayed it even more. After lawyers started telling him that he should be removed from the case, Earl Glanville put the trial on hold. Then in July 2024, Judge Rachel Krause took Glanville off of the case. She said that Glanville didn't actually do anything wrong, but she was taking him out of the trial because people didn't trust him. Judge Earl Glanville getting taken off the case made it even more complicated though because of Woody's testimony. Before Glanville was replaced, Woody was still testifying and he went viral again when he fired his lawyer while he was on the stand. Woody decided to keep going without a lawyer, and that's when he told everyone that he had a personal problem with Young Thug.
I told Quay that, man, I have a personal problem with Young Thug.
It's not clear what was going on between them, but a lot of people thought it involved the Big Nut murder. Rumors are going around that Lil Woody had already admitted he was one of the shooters, and that's why everyone was tuned in to watch Woody testify. But when the prosecutor asked Woody if he killed Nut, Woody said no.
Did you kill that? No.
A lot of people in Atlanta thought Woody had something to do with it though, and after Big Nut died, someone pulled up on Woody and shot into his whip. Woody didn't get hit, but then someone slid on him again when Woody was standing outside of his crib with his daughter and his girlfriend. Woody busted back at the shooter, but nobody got hit. The cops didn't bust anyone for the shooting, but Woody ended up telling the cops that his homie Lil Tay was the shooter. That case didn't actually have anything to do with Thug, but Woody's testimony about it definitely had an effect on the trial. During Thug's trial, the prosecutors asked Woody about the shooting, and Woody said that he lied to the cops about Lil Tay pulling the trigger.
When she showed you a photographic lineup, and you actually eventually pointed Tay out of a photographic lineup.
I didn't care. I was just trying to get them off of me and trying to convince her. And trying to convince her is very hard to do. So I had to go through with it. Even though in my heart, I knew that he didn't shoot at me, or he would have never shot at me.
But then right after Woody mentioned him in the trial, Lil Tay was shot and killed at his crib. Woody also said that after Big Nut's murder, he thought about killing Young Thug.
I texted her and told her that I was going to kill Thug when I get a chance.
Everyone was saying that Woody was on the hit, and Woody thought Thug was mad about all the heat YSL was getting. Then the situation got more complicated after Judge Earl Glanville was taken out of the trial. Woody had already been testifying about different murders after Thug and Yak Gotti's lawyers filed a motion for Glanville to be removed. So when Glanville was finally taken off the case, the trial had to be reset back to the day when the motion was actually filed. So basically, the jurors were told to forget everything that happened after the lawyers filed the motion. Woody had been testifying for 2 weeks after the motion was filed, but everyone was supposed to just forget it happened. Earl Glanville got taken out, but that wasn't the end of the judge drama. A judge named Shakura Ingram was handed the case, but then 2 days later she recused herself because she had ties to Akiba Stanley, who was the deputy that got arrested for having a relationship with Big Briss. Then a judge named Paige Reese Whitaker got put on the case, and the trial finally got back on track. She spent about a month trying to sort the case out. Then in August 2024, Lil Woody got put back on the stand and testified again. The prosecutors thought Woody was going to help them close the case, but instead Woody went up and said he's been lying to the cops about Thug the whole time. According to Woody,
the police kept locking me up
for whatever they could. Every time I came out the door, the police was on me. And they keep bringing up Thug name. So what I did was, to get them off of me, I said, Thug did this, Thug did that, Thug did, because I knew they would never, I knew he didn't do it. And in my mind, I knew that the police would never go mess with him. So it was easy for me to try to throw the blame off on him to get them off of me. And that's what I was doing. And that's right now. If I walk out this thing and they say, the police stop me now. Hey man, give me something about Thug. Shit, I'm about to make something up about him again.
An alleged YSL affiliate named Monk Tunk was the next student the prosecutors brought in to testify. Monk Tunk accepted a plea deal back in 2022 and agreed to acknowledge 16 factual statements and testify for the state. Monk Tunk was supposed to testify that he knew YSL affiliates were involved with Big Nut's murder, but when he got up to testify, Monk Tunk wouldn't answer questions, and at one point, he even told the prosecutor to stop yelling at him like he was her child and said that he wasn't afraid of her.
Could you stop yelling at me like I'm your child or something? I'm not your child.
You are not.
You talking aggressive to me. You don't intimidate me. All them guys over here. So if you would have came to me and asked me this, I'd have told you the same thing. What if they was in my face or not in my face? I'm not scared of them or you.
It was clear that Monk Tunk wasn't taking the situation seriously, and he even clowned the prosecutor for not knowing who Travis Scott was.
This tour, when we say Travis Scott tour, who was the headliner? Was Mr. Williams the main attraction, or was Mr. Scott or somebody else?
Mr. Scott was.
Okay. Now, was he a major performer? And you got to forgive me because I don't know Travis Scott, okay?
Come on.
I'm not lying. I don't. Was he a major performer? I'm older than you believe, and you're going to have to forgive me.
Come on.
I'm dead serious. No.
Don't be mad at me if I'm laughing at you.
I'm not mad at you.
Monk Tunk did testify that a YSL affiliate named Lil D was involved with a drive-by back in 2015, and the prosecutors tried to get more info out of Lil D when they called him up to testify. Lil D almost didn't go to court because he had some medical issues going on, but eventually a doctor cleared him and the prosecutor started pressing him about Big Nut's murder. Lil D testified that he was in the whip that Young Thug rented the night before Big Nut's murder, but Lil D said that the only person in the car was Lil Woody. At one point during Lil D's testimony, one of the defense attorneys accused the prosecutor of confusing Lil D and asked for a mistrial. Judge Whitaker didn't declare a mistrial, but she did air the prosecutor out like crazy.
But it is baffling to me that somebody with the number of years of experience that you have, time after time after time, continues to seemingly purposefully hide the ball to the extent you possibly can for as long as you possibly can. And I really don't want to believe that it is purposeful, but honestly, after a certain number of times, you start to wonder how it could be anything but that, unless it is just that you are so unorganized that you are throwing this case together as you try it.
Then there was even more drama a week later when a woman who worked at the Fulton County Jail got arrested for taking bribes. She took over $17,000 and let inmates have contraband and hang out in areas of the jail they weren't supposed to be. And a YSL affiliate named Marquavius Huey's family allegedly paid her off too. A couple weeks later, the prosecution had even more problems in the courtroom and it came close to a mistrial again. Tyrone Dennis was a huge witness for the prosecution. He's a retired investigator who investigated YSL affiliates way before the Rico indictment came down, and the prosecutors were using him to tie a bunch of shootings to Thug and the rest of YSL. They called him up to testify a couple of different times, and Tyrone Dennis said that a YSL affiliate told him who was involved with the Big Nut murder. According to Tyrone Dennis, Yak Gotti, Nard, Doo-Wop, and SB were the ones who killed Big Nut.
As far as the shooting of Donovan Thomas, who did Mr. Zachary say was, and let me get more specific, those who actually were a part of the drive-by shooting?
Diamante Kendricks, aka Yak, Demise McMullen, aka Nard, Justin Cobb, aka Doo-Wop, and Shannon Stillwell Jackson, aka SB.
Tyrone Dennis also testified about the shooting on Lil Wayne's tour bus that Thug was allegedly involved with back in 2015. Back then, Lil Wayne and Young Thug were beefing, and Thug was getting tight with Wayne's mentor, Birdman. Wayne and Thug had been sending shots back and forth for a while, and then the situation almost got deadly when Wayne had a show in Atlanta. After Wayne's concert was over, he got in his tour bus and hit the road, and that's when someone caught up to the bus and started shooting. Thug's road manager, Jimmy Winfrey, was booked for the shooting, and the cops thought that young Thug put a bag on Lil Wayne's head. Tyrone Dennis testified that there were a bunch of shootings after Wayne's bus got hit up, and the prosecutors were trying to tie it all together. Tyrone Dennis was also helping the prosecutors prove that a bunch of shootings in Atlanta were tied to the war between YSL and YFN. His testimony was a big part of their case, and that's why what happened next is so crazy. While Tyrone Dennis was testifying about Yak Gotti taking a picture where he was standing on top of YFN Lucci's car, he slipped up and mentioned Yak Gotti being released from jail. Tyrone Dennis was only supposed to be talking about the YSL Rico case and shouldn't have said anything else about Yak Gotti that didn't involve the trial, and his mistake was a massive blow to the prosecutor's case. Yak Gotti's lawyer Doug Weinstein hopped up immediately and demanded a mistrial.
Your Honor, this one you cannot fix. This is bad character evidence that came in. The state should have prepared their witness. I move for a mistrial. This absolutely cannot be unheard by the jury.
The judge didn't call a mistrial, but she banned Tyrone Dennis from testifying anymore and said that everything he said in court had to be taken out of the record.
As a sanction for this having occurred, that's the end of the testimony from this witness. There's going to be no more testimony from him, so he's done.
That move almost killed the prosecutor's entire case, but it was actually another slip-up that finally ended the trial. On October 23rd, a YSL affiliate named Slime Life Shotty got called up to testify. The prosecutors were making them read some Instagram posts that were being used as evidence, but there was a huge mistake with the paperwork. The jurors were given copies of the IG posts, but their copies had part of the caption taken out that said #FreeQuay. Quamarvius Nichols and Marquavius Huey are both alleged YSL affiliates who were caught up in the trial too, and both of them used the nickname Quay, but the jury wasn't supposed to know that they were locked up. Slime Life Shotty's copy of the Instagram post didn't have the #FreeQuay part taken out though, and he read it out loud in front of the jury.
And is there another hashtag?
Free Quay.
This was another massive mistake from the prosecutors because the jury wasn't supposed to know anything about Quamarvius Nichols or Marquavius Huey being locked up, and Quamarvius Nichols' lawyer asked the judge for a mistrial again. The judge said she wouldn't call a mistrial without prejudice, but she asked the defense if they wanted to have a mistrial and have to start the trial all over again. The YSL case was already the longest criminal trial in Atlanta history, and the state had spent millions on the case. Nobody wanted to go through the whole thing again, so the prosecutors started making plea deals with everyone. Quamarvius Nichols took the first plea deal. He was facing life for a murder charge because the prosecutors thought he killed YFN Lucci's homie Shamel Drinks, but instead he got a deal where he pleaded guilty to one count of conspiracy to violate the RICO Act and took a 20-year sentence. Luckily for Quamarvius, he only has to spend 7 years of that in prison though, and the rest will just be on probation if he stays out of trouble. Lil Rod already got hit with a life sentence for killing a dude named Jamari Holmes, but he pleaded guilty to violating the RICO Act and got hit with another 10 years. Lil Rod was only 15 when he committed the murder though, so there's a chance he'll get out on parole in a few years. Marquavius Huey took a deal that he probably would have never got if the trial didn't get messed up by Slime Life Shotty's testimony. Huey was facing multiple life sentences if he finished the trial and got convicted, but instead he pleaded guilty to robbery and RICO charges and only has to spend 9 years in prison. Then on October 31st, the news broke that Young Thug had taken a plea deal and was finally going home. The craziest thing about Young Thug's deal is that he took a non-negotiated plea, which basically means he pleaded guilty and had no idea how much time the judge would hit him with. Before the judge told Young Thug his sentence, Thug apologized for everything and said he was gonna do better because he knows how much impact he has on people.
I want to say sorry to my family, my mom. My mom got 11 kids. I can't say all their names, you know. My managers, my kids that's not here. Really everybody that got something to do with this situation, I want to say sorry for just like, you know, having so much time investing into this, you know, and I am a smart guy, I am a good guy, and I just hope that you find it in your heart to allow me to go home and be with my family and just do better as a person. I know what I bring to the table, I know what I am, I know the heights I've reached, I know the impact I got on people, period, in the community, you know, all people.
The prosecutors wanted Thug to get 25 years in prison and 20 years of probation, But Thug caught a huge break and didn't have to spend any more time behind bars. Young Thug's lawyer Brian still thought they were winning the case and could have won it without Thug taking a plea deal. But Thug just wanted to go home as soon as possible to see his kids and deal with some health problems.
I am not supportive of what we're doing right now. I'm not against it. But I told Mr. Williams, that I think we're winning the trial and we should go to verdict. But he told me I can't wait another 3 months if there is any possibility I could go home because I have children that are hurting. I have things to do and he has some medical issues that he would like to tend to. He eats out of a bag, Your Honor. He eats processed food only.
He'll be on probation for 15 years though. And if Thug slips up, then he'll automatically go back to prison for 20 years. He's also banned from Atlanta for 10 years unless he's going for a funeral or other approved reasons. And Thug also has to make anti-gang presentations for kids 4 times a year and perform 100 hours of community service. A lot of people thought Thug was done for good after he got hit with the Rico case, and the whole rap game went crazy after the news broke that he was coming home. His homies in the game like Travis Scott and Drake both celebrated on social media. Everyone was excited to have Thug back after so long. People have been talking about the whole Gunna situation for years, and a lot of them were surprised when Thug's lawyer Brian Steele asked the judge to let Thug work with his brother on Funk and Gunna.
And Mr. Williams have no contact with any of the co-defendants in this indictment, with the exception of Mr. Quantavious Greer, that is his biological brother, as well as Mr. Sergio Kitchens. He's a phenomenal artist. He goes performer known as Gunna, G-U-N-N-A. Mr. Williams and Mr. Kitchens are contractually obligated and they frequently perform music together.
When the video came out, fans weren't sure if Thug really wanted to make music with Gunna or if he just needed to be able to handle business with him. But since Thug came home, it seems like he's not really rocking with Gunna. Lil Baby was one of the biggest dudes who called Gunna a rat. And when Thug came home, he tweeted, "Wham, let's drop one on these rats, Peter." And when Lil Baby posted a track list from his new project, he had Young Thug listed as a feature. According to DJ Academics,
Young Thug told everybody that Gunna was a snitch. I'm telling you this, I don't give a fuck if you believe me. That's what he sent to. Or he sent a message to Dirk, Baby. There's a few other rappers I just won't call their names, just because some of them just told me in privacy.
Then Thug said, "Gunna, stop acting like we friends on the internet. I don't know you, my guy." A dude who people claim is Gunna's brother responded in the comments and said, "Trust and believe, the feeling is mutual." Thug took the post down immediately, and rumors say he might have been hacked, but right now it looks like Gunna and him are done. After Thug took his deal, SB and Yak Gotti were still fighting the case and facing life sentences. The prosecution offered both of them plea deals, but Yak and SB didn't want to take them. Yak Gotti had a lot of drama during the case too, because there were already snitching rumors on his name. Before everyone got locked up on the Rico indictment, YSL Duke allegedly got beat up by some ops, so he linked up with Yak Gotti to slide on him. The cops caught them both with guns though, and that's where the paperwork on Yak Gotti came from. Yak always said he didn't snitch and claimed his own work, and on the track Free to Go, he rapped, "Don't fuck with these niggas cause they facade. Riding with Lil Duke and I took the charge. I was facing life and I beat the odds. I just came back, they like, shorty, you hard." Even a journalist named George Chidi backed Yak Gotti up and said that Yak pleaded guilty on the gun case, but that doesn't mean he said anything about Duke's case. When Thug took a deal, everyone knew that the case was just about over, but Yak Gotti almost didn't make it out alive. While he was in jail waiting to hear whether or not the jury found him guilty, Yak Gotti got stabbed in the head. Luckily, he was able to recover and came back to court with some staples in his head, and that's when Yak Gotti and SB both got good news. When the trial was finally over, the jury acquitted Yak Gotti on everything, and SB was cleared on everything except for possession of a firearm. SB got hit with 10 years, but he got credit for time served and will spend the rest of the time on probation. Jimmy Winfrey was the last dude in the case, and on December 4th, he pleaded guilty and got hit with 10 years, but will spend it on probation too, as long as he doesn't catch any new charges. After the news broke that Yak Gotti and SB got found not guilty, Young Thug called one of his lawyers who happened to be doing interviews about the case. Thug admitted that he was calling to see if his legal team could get him off probation, since it now looks like he probably would have been found not guilty.
Get me off the probation.
Okay, I wish we could start a petition to do that. We got to get you on the channel so people can hear from you.
So it looks like he's already regretting his decision to take the plea deal. The YSL Rico is officially over now. But a bunch of alleged YSL affiliates are still waiting to go to trial. A lot of them have their cases separated from the Rico case, and there's no telling how long it'll take for all the trials to get finished. There's a good chance that most of them will take plea deals like the dudes in the Rico case though. YSL Duke, Slime Life Shawty, DK, and Tig all got off with just probation. Thug's brother Unfung took a deal and got probation too, but then the cops caught him with a gun in his whip and sent him back to prison for almost 10 years. Monk Tunk was supposed to just be doing probation too, but after he violated his plea agreement when they called him up to testify, Monk Tunk's probation got revoked and he was sent to prison. The YSL Rico case has jammed up the rap game in Atlanta for years, but now Thug is finally home and can focus on getting back on top. Hopefully he keeps his head down and stays out of trouble though, because next time, he's gonna spend at least 20 years in prison no matter what.